Dominican Republic. We'll now speak to Michael Deibert, who's the author of Haiti Will Not Perish, and a journalist who's been following the rise of armed groups in the country for more than 25 years. He's joining us from Baltimore. Welcome to Al Jazeera, sir. How would you describe the situation in Haiti right now in your own words?
The situation that Haiti is living through is a kind of multifaceted, systemic and structural collapse, both in terms of politically and in terms of security. I mean, these gangs that are running riot in the capital and around in recent days, have their roots stretching back over 20 years. I mean, they were kind of the template of them was kind of set by Jean-Bertrand Aristide and the Famille Lavalas party in the late 1990s and early 2000s. And then it spread to various different political bodies. So you have a lot of different political parties who have been nurturing these gangs as they got more and more powerful.
So are these gangs in this present crisis, have they banded together as a group, or are there differences amongst the gangs themselves?
Yeah, there are two gang coalitions, one of which is the G9, which is led by this guy, Jimmy Cherizier, who's known as Barbecue, or ostensibly led. And then there's the GPEP. They're ostensibly, rivals. But even within the coalitions themselves, oftentimes these different gangs are kind of fighting with one another. So at the moment, they have this modus vivendi where they're all trying to bring down the pillars of the state, it appears. But that will probably not last very long in my experience with them.
What are you basing that assessment on?
I mean, they've historically been extremely violent in their interactions with one another, and also the police. I have to say, I mean, the Haitian National Police have been extremely heroic in their defense of the airport and their defense of the National Palace over the last several days, and they've done so with basically no support, rhetorical or otherwise, from the Prime Minister, who has disappeared into Puerto Rico, and he's tweeting out words of congratulations for the anniversaries of different radio stations and not making any commentary on the fact that the capital has completely collapsed into criminal anarchy.
What is the way then out of this crisis? And speaking of the Prime Minister, there seems to be pressure on him to resign, but no sign of that. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, I think whether he knows it or not, I mean, Ariel Henry's tenure as prime minister is over, and I think it was over some time ago, to be honest with you. There are various measures on the table for what would a transitional government would look like. One of them is a kind of triumvirate council of which would include a guy called Guy Philippe, who's a former convicted narco who did time in the United States and was returned to Haiti at the end of November. Another is a 5-member council comprising of different political and kind of civil society factions. And I think, in the meeting with CARICOM on Monday, most of these factions are going to try to be vying with one another to see which mode gets put in place for the next chapter.
And of course, there is this contingency of Kenyan-led peacekeeping forces that are meant to enter the country. Do you think that Kenyan police are the way out of this crisis, a foreign force on Haitian land?
Well, I mean, I would say, despite the kind of garishness and dramatic appearance of these gangs, they are a symptom of a wider problem. They're not the cause of the wider problem. And the problem in Haiti is the fact that there's complete and total impunity for politically and economically connected actors who have been fostering these gangs for now 2 decades. And whereas you can take over, say, block by block of a different neighborhood or whatnot, the long-term solution of this is to begin to hold these actors accountable and to make the support of these armed gangs at the expense of the state have a really high price, which it has not for these actors so far.
Right. And is it the peacekeeping mission that's going to be able to do that?
The peacekeeping mission alone, force of arms alone, will not be able to solve that. There needs to be a bigger plan in terms of addressing the systemic and structural problems that give rise to these gangs, in my opinion.
OK, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Michael Deibert. Thanks for joining us from Baltimore.
Thank you.
Still ahead on the Al Jazeera.